Every day people are asking us when they call in, what damages can we get when we have a car wreck claim, a personal injury claim? And most of our cases are auto accidents, but the biggest thing is your medical bills. So the first thing that we're trying to do is we got to make sure your medical treatment is set up, and people are always worried if they have health insurance, or even, especially when they don't, who's going to pay these medical bills? Okay, because when they're first hurt, they're going to the doctor, they're getting a large ER bill, especially if they go to a trauma center like Grand Strand, and they're a level 1 trauma, level 2 trauma. I mean, that's a huge. We're talking $40,000-$50,000 medical bill just from the ER. So when we're talking damages, that's the first thing that we're looking for. And then all the specialists and treatment that comes after that. And then if you have any future treatment, once you reach maximum medical improvement, we're trying to get all those damages as well. Obviously, you're going to have property damage too, right? Your car's messed up. And so, we're making sure that's taken care of. Is it a total loss? Is it fixed? Is there a loss of use claim to go along with that? Is there a diminution in value if you have a new car and now you got a Carfax ding on that? We're pursuing all those damages for our clients.
Well, and that's unique for the lovely law firm too, that you guys have a property damage person to handle that stuff.
Yep. So we retained a old State Farm property damage adjuster that used to be doing this for the dark side of the defense years ago, and now she's working for us, and she does a great job making sure that our clients' property claims are as quick as possible. They're adjusted, and they're getting the new wills.
I've had to use her twice, so I am appreciative of her, because a lot of law firms, I mean, they don't handle the property damage, so you've got to either figure that out on your own and find somebody else, or not mess with it at all, right?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of law firms will just leave you hanging on the property damage, but you got to get to work. You got to get your car. You got to get into a rental.
And it's confusing. I mean, stuff is backed up, and I was very grateful for her.
Law firms who do that, and Sarah can talk to this, they're leaving money on the table, right? And these adjusters will try to get you to sign away your rights, okay? And there's a lot of times that when we're working up the investigation, which we're not going to know for a couple weeks after sign up, we realize, hey, there's some punitive damage exposure here. And so not only can we get you bodily injury damage coverage when we settle your case, we're getting excess property damage, so above and beyond what it costs to repair the vehicle.
Yeah, and it's really it's great that we get to have her help on that front end, because sometimes there's liability issues and things like that. She'll help identify witnesses, talk to people, get our clients in a rental car, and make sure that our clients aren't signing away any of their rights to those punitive damages, that excess insurance coverage that we could get, which a lot of times, if these clients are handling it themselves, they'll sign a release just to get a car or just to get a check, because they're down and out. They haven't had a rental car, and they don't even know what they're signing away at that point.
Yeah. I mean, I learned a lot through that process, because thanks to Justin too, I mean, giving all the tips, I was able to have my car seats replaced. I feel like that's something that people don't know that they can do if you're a parent and you have car seats in a vehicle with an accident. And then also, when I first went to go get a rental car, they gave me one that was not equal kind of to the car I was driving. I needed 3 rows for all of my babies. So she was able to help me work that out too, and get a car that was equal to what I was driving. I mean, there were so many things that I was really grateful for.
And that's such a stressful process for people. You're trying to, you can't get to work, you can't get your kids to school, you got to get to the doctor, you're hurting. And so, that's something that we try to get done quickly for our clients, so we kind of really stand out and really help our people.
Yeah. So we're talking about damages that can be compensated when you're in a car accident. And when we say the word damages, that's just anything that you can be compensated for, right?
Right. So you got your special damages, which is going to be your medical specials. When we say specials, it's a legal term. We're talking your hard bills, right? And then obviously we can go pursue lost wages if you're missing work. If you have loss of consortium, if damages such as that.
Consortium.
Yeah, consortium. So if you become, like, if you're a husband and wife, for instance, and your spouse has been damaged so much to where now you've become a caretaker, right? Instead of having that bond, that's when we're able to. It's a derivative claim, and we're able to bring that on behalf of our clients.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And I tell clients, your medical bills are going to be your hard economic damages. Those are easy to calculate. You've been billed. Everything else is going to be on top of that. So pain and suffering, punitive damages, loss of consortium, all that stuff adds on top. But what a lot of people don't know is that it's going to be one lump sum settlement or verdict, right? Sure. Well, I have people from out of state say, well, I need my bills paid now. I'm getting these bills in the mail now. How does this work? And where do my lost wages fall in? Like, you can't just submit them to the insurance company and they pay them to you, right? We have to come up with the full scope of damages. and then get that compensated at one time.
So how does that work? If they're getting these medical bills in and they aren't paying them, are they going to be, is there any kind of negative effect to that, or is it okay for them to wait until the settlement comes in?
Yeah, so this is going to be different on a case-by-case basis. So what we're going to do, we're going to examine, say, hey, do you have health insurance, right? And 'cause we want to get everything billed to their health insurance. So if they have Blue Cross Blue Shield, Medicare, Medicaid, we want them to pick up and become the primary payor. The reason we want to do that is they're paying, these insurance companies are paying 20 cents on the dollar of the full price of these medical bills, okay? And then obviously sometimes they're left with zero balance after that. So that's great if they can get done. If there is a balance and this is going to take a year to settle, we can sometimes send what's called a letter of protection to these medical providers and say, look, hey, there's an active lawsuit. We agree to protect your interest. We're going to pay this out of the settlement when we get settlement funds. Some providers will agree to do that, no problem. And then we just take care of it at the end.
Gotcha.
Some clients also have MedPay or PIP, right? So that's first party policy, no fault policy that we can get them some money quickly that will be paid as the bills come in. So essentially the bills will come in, we'll submit those PIP and MedPay demands. That money can get paid directly to the client. And as long as we don't have to file litigation to get that money, we give that to the client without charging a fee. So that gives them a little money because this thing does take, on average, it takes 10 months to a year and a half to get these things settled. And so kind of what I think to answer your original question, people get worried, they want their bills paid, they don't want anything hitting their credit, stuff like that.
Right.
We handle that whole process for them.
Right. Yeah, I think it's always important to remind people that it is a process. I think when it first happens, everybody is, they want their stuff right then and there. They want their car. They want to figure out their work situation, their money situation, their bills situation. So I think it's always important to remind people that there's a process of getting all that data collection and going through the proper channels. What about wrongful death? Tell me about that.
So wrongful death, you're going to have two scenarios that we're going to investigate. So there's going to be actual wrongful death, and there's also going to be survival actions that could take place. And so basically what we're going to do is we're going to bring an action, we're going to investigate it, and these are kind of macabre ways to look at things. But did you survive? Okay, so did you get into an accident, for instance? You make it to the hospital and you live for 2 days, then you pass away. Well, if that's a situation, you're going to have both the wrongful death and the survival causes of action that will bring forward on behalf of you against the at-fault tortfeasor. But those are two different levels of damages that we're going to pursue on your behalf. And, what we want to do is get everything as much as we can in that terrible situation, get it apportioned to the wrongful death claim because these have to be court approved. When we're able to do that, our laws will protect our clients because medical providers and creditors can attach to those wrongful death proceeds. So we're able to give that to the heirs if they have a will. It'll be passed to their heirs if they do have a will, and if not, it'll go through the probate court.
Gotcha. What's considered a wrongful death?
So anytime that there's a tort committed, so for instance, let's go back to the car wreck. So there's a car wreck, and you die as a result of the negligence of another.
Gotcha.
So it's just
wrongful death.
It's the most extreme injury, right? If you're injured in a wreck, but you're killed in a wreck, same causes of action, right? Negligence, except for in one case you died. In one case you lived. And I think for the survival stuff, for me it's easier to think about it if you die instantly. You get hit by a car and impact and you don't live at all. That's going to be 100% wrongful death. You didn't live at all. But there's some cases where you survive 2 days, but even in the most extreme, which is kind of easier for me to think about, you go to the hospital, you have surgery because of the car accident, but you get an infection and you're in the hospital for 2 months and then you pass away. Well, you had pain and suffering all those 2 months because of the accident. That's going to be your survival claim. And so they're going to be different, and the court's going to look at them different. And so the investigation into how the death actually occurred becomes really important in those cases.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Oh, makes me sad though too. Every time I talk to you guys, I'm always just reminded why people need attorneys. There's just so many details for each thing that you're talking about. The people that try to do it without an attorney, it just blows my mind.
Well, that's why we always try to shoot this content, right? We try to give little tidbits and little facts to help people because it's 99% of the time our clients are hired. It's the first time they're ever having a lawyer, period, for anything in their life.
Right.
And they're scared, they're nervous, they don't understand the process. They may have predetermined feelings, and they don't really trust anybody because things bad have happened to them. And so we try to work as best we can to educate on the front end, as you well know, through our video content, through our classes we teach, through everything that we do in the community. So hopefully everybody can say, hey, we're on your side. We're here to level the playing field. Because the insurance company's sitting there, they're hiring $1 million law firms to with unlimited budgets to defend, deny, delay, and devalue your claim.
Yeah.
Right. So we live with the playing field and fight for the injured.
Well, and you guys are going to be transparent and genuine about what's going on too.
100% duty to our clients.
Yeah.
No one else.
I mean, I've heard you both give, advice on being open and honest to people in their cases. So I always like that about you guys. Now, disfigurement and loss of limbs, is that a totally separate type of damage?
Well, if that happens to you, again, we're talking the most extreme cases, but we see these with our motorcycle clients. Sometimes those are very catastrophic claims, and if you suffer severe road rash, severe scarring with a dog bite, you do lose a limb in a motorcycle crash. That's another element of damage that we're able to pursue for you.
It's all kind of under the pain and suffering.
Correct.
Stuff.
It's all going to come out of one money, but
Gotcha.
We always want to say, hey, how many different elements of damages that our law provides in South Carolina can we trigger to hopefully get you a policy limit settlement? Or if there's a situation maybe against a commercial defendant where the sky's the limit, we want to trigger everything, right? So we can maximize the money that we can get for you.
Sure. So how do you guys find out about all these things? I want a behind the scenes backstory. When you get a case in, how do you find out all of this stuff?
Oh my God, are you kidding me? First of all, we have the best paralegals in the business. I can tell you that, and we got the best investigators in the business. And then, especially on our bigger claims, Sarah and I are going to stop what we're doing. We'll throw the headset down on this podcast booth, and we're going to go hit the scene and start our own investigation.
Okay.
We have to hire experts. We'll be our investigators. They'll go out there and take initial pictures for us, and that'll kind of give us a lay of the land and what experts do we need. Do we need to get an accident scene reconstructionist hired? Do I need to get the black boxes from the cars downloaded? I mean, every case is different, right?
Yeah.
Or if it's a slip and fall, do I have to get a human factors expert in, or just a building code expert? What do I need? And so our initial investigation will involve getting our private investigators out there, and they're also looking around. They're saying, hey, are there neighboring businesses that have cameras? Are there any witnesses? They're talking to our clients, because our clients are usually, when they're hiring us, it's quickly after the injury. They're pumped up on adrenaline still. Mm-hmm. They're not really giving us all the facts, or their facts may be biased a little bit, right? And so we got to get an objective investigation done so Sarah and I can make a plan. And then what we do is we'll delegate tasks to our paralegals.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they got to get this accident report. They got to get this guy hired. They got to schedule a call with us and this doctor.
Yeah.
And then we just go down the rabbit hole from there and make sure that we're working this towards the conclusion for the client.
How does it work if the person is so badly injured that they are not able to hire the attorney? Does it go to their spouse or their family member, or do they just not have a case?
Yeah, no, they would definitely still have a case. In those situations, we have a probate court lawyer that we retain, and we get that all set up, and there'll be what's called a personal representative set up in the case of like a wrongful death to pursue. In the case of an incapacity, we may have to get a guardian appointed through the probate court, and that's usually the next of kin. It could be the spouse, it could be your parent, it could be an older son or daughter. It just depends on, every case is different.
Gotcha.
But no, we definitely make sure and we'll advise the client. We make sure that's all taken care of for them. Because any kind of situation where they can't make decisions on their own, we will have to involve the probate court.
Sure. Any other hidden compensation?
No, I think just, part of it's doing that investigation on the forefront, like Justin said, but then we're talking to our clients all the time, sometimes to where I think our clients are like, there is no update. But it takes time to really realize what the pain and suffering is. And the best example, it happens in every case, but in dog bites, we'll have the initial bite happen, and then the scar heals over time. And then you find out these people are still struggling all this time later with, now they're afraid of dogs, or their anxiety or depression or those kinds of things come out. And so sometimes it's not what the clients want to hear, but you're not going to realize the true pain and suffering until you live a little bit with these injuries and see how they've impacted you and your family and your life. So it's a lot of time, a lot of contact, a lot of probably personal questions that our paralegals are asking, but just to touch base and make sure that if you are feeling those things, that you can get them documented, or that we can do what we need to do so that we can present above and beyond what your medical bills.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. That's a good point.
Well, that's a great point too, because clients also need an advocate. They need a medical advocate because they think they're better or they don't know. And then, Sarah will talk to them, or we'll do our brain injury checklist. And, we realize, wow, this client's checking off, 10 of our 100 items on this brain injury checklist. They may need to go to a neurologist. And people just don't know to ask their doctors or tell their doctors these things. Mm-hmm. You got to remember this. You only got one shot at this to settle. So if we settle it without getting that stuff looked at or properly treated, hopefully you get it checked out and you're fine. But if we settle it and you don't, and then you have symptoms that come out later related to your accident, I mean, you're done, right? Yeah. And so a lot of that is figuring out, well, how is this impacting your life, getting them to the proper medical care, and then also interviewing the witnesses that can prove that in court if we get jerked around by an insurance company.
Yeah.
Right, because a lot of time, and I'm speaking to the men directly, unfortunately, y'all don't want to document how you're feeling. And so a lot of those emotional injuries, it'll be your wife or your daughter that comes in and says, he's just not the same. You got to go talk to somebody and get help. Get that documented for your case, but also so you can feel better and realize that's going on. Because that's a big component of it, is like the mental anguish that you suffer when you go through injuries like we handle.
Got to talk about your feelings, men.
You have to talk about
Open
your
up.
feelings.
It's okay.
You're going to have to do it.
All right. Well, how can folks find you, Justin?
They can find us everywhere. I'm on the back.
True.
I'm on the back of the buses.
Seriously, literally
we're on the
everywhere.
Radio dial. We're on TV. We're on.
You're at
all
my
your
gas
socials.
pump.
Yeah.
You're on YouTube. You're
Yeah.
everywhere.
We're everywhere.
Can't avoid him.
Yeah, the easiest way, justiceislovely.com, 843-839-4111.
So, Justin, should people settle or do they go to trial?
People always ask me that. They say, should we settle the case? What do you think? And the ultimate decision is going to be on the client. Now, Sarah and I can advise you a range of what we think the case is worth. And then what you would net, right? Because you have medical bills, you got attorney's fees, costs, and then, anything else that's maybe there's a lien on the case, and what you're going to net, what you're going to take home in your pocket. And so, but the ultimate decision is always the client's. The decision's easy if they deny the claim, and we think it's something trial worthy. I mean, that's an easy decision. Let's go. The issue is going to be, if it's taken 10 months to a year, maybe you've been out of work and the insurance company starts dangling a carrot. Those are difficult decisions. And we always tell our clients, trust us. You have to trust us. And I know this has been painful, this process, client, but please let us keep going to court. Okay. And, hopefully we've worked the case up well enough that we can either get to a mediation date where we get a better value for you, or we swear a jury. A lot of times we'll swear a jury after the jury qualification, and the adjuster starts tapping us on the shoulder wanting to talk settlement. Or if we have to try it, we'll try the case. Mm-hmm. The heavy lifting for a client is going to the doctor. They'll have to do their deposition, during the lawsuit litigation process, and then obviously, if there is a trial.
Right.
But most of our cases, 95% of our cases will settle. Mm-hmm. But if they're lowballing our client, we're going to definitely tell them no. If they're in a range where it makes sense and they're putting money in their pocket and there's no long lifetime issues as far as medical situations with their damages, we could probably talk settlement, and we'll have a discussion. But we're very open and honest. We're going to sit down. It's going to be we'll hold their hand through the whole process. It's going to be telephone calls, Zooms, text messages, in-person meetings, whatever's comfortable for the client. Mm-hmm. And we'll properly advise them what we think is best for them.
Yeah. Well, and the process too. So what's going to happen in most cases if they take it or if they don't take it, Right. I know Sarah advised me when I had my car accidents, so plural, where she was like, this is a good offer, or this is not a good offer, or this is crap, and we're going back at them. Or, if you accept this will happen. If you don't accept it, this will happen. So you guys are so experienced with the process that you kind of have an idea and you can really advise for those steps too.
And it depends on your damages. I mean, it's a risk-reward analysis. I mean, you're going to have to pay more in litigation costs. So if we decide to file a lawsuit, okay, because we have to hire experts, we have to do depositions, we got to pay court reporters, okay? This has to happen. Okay, once we start that process, you can't just not do those things. And so, sometimes we'll sit with the client. We'll say, look, I mean, they're close to settle, but the client wants a little bit more. And we say, look, we can go as far as you need to go, but is the juice worth the squeeze? I always say that. If you're going to get another $10,000, but it costs you $10,000 in expert fees, and it takes you another year, is that really worth it for you? Mm-hmm. And again, every case is different, and that's just one scenario, one conversation that we have. And when the clients understand that, and we put pen to paper, and they see what they're going to net, take home with everything paid and everything good to go, it makes the decision easier on them.
Yeah,
because it really is just a risk reward analysis, like Justin said. And when they offer you zero and they deny the claim, there's no risk to keep on going, right? They offered you nothing, let's go.
Yeah.
But it's when they get into those ranges that they don't feel fair, and they don't feel like full compensation, but it's better than what waiting long and digging in and spending money, and it can kind of come out the same, like Justin's saying. That's when it really you
have to weigh your options.
So I'll give you the risk. This is the risks of not settling, this is the rewards of settling, and the risks and rewards of trial and continuing. And then it's really laying it all out there in a way that the client can explain specific to the facts of their case and considering, you know, their personal situation, what they're going through right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then ultimately it's on them.
And it's a little bit of a game with the insurance company. I mean, I say game, but you know what I mean? The back and forth of like, I'm going to give you this. And then, you know, I mean, some attorneys are like, oh, here you go. They don't really want to do any more work, and that's that. But you guys are really, you know, helpful with being just open about, no, I think we can push and get more. No, I think I can, you know, go with this angle and try to push and get more. That's something I really love about the Lovely Law Firm, is that there's always, you guys are so creative with trying to figure out every angle possible to get that extra compensation.
Yeah, and we're going to try to turn over every rock that we possibly can, and then again, we're going to say, hey, the next step is this, and that's generally going to be litigation. But we have to have client buy-in, because once we litigate, we're not the type that's going to litigate and just sit on a case. We're going to push it, and the client's got to be involved, you know. And then once we get we'll do written discovery, we'll get their deposition done. The other heavy lifting is on the lawyer, and then we'll get to a mediation, and then ultimately to a trial if we have to.
Yeah.
But time is a problem, and we try to educate our clients. We go, look, okay, you're going to get a little bit more money, but is it worth the time to go through this stuff? And sometimes, like Sarah said, it's a no-brainer, and we're going to try to take a home run. But there's also sometimes there's a risk, like in our premises or slip and fall cases, we could get a summary judgment motion filed. If it's granted to the defense, you get zero. So, you know, again, every case is different. We're going to sit down. We're going to say, hey, what's best for you and your family with this given set of facts, and then we'll make a plan together.
Yeah, and your insurance adjuster, I learned, can make a difference for how easy or difficult it is too.
Oh, 100%. All these insurance companies are they're all based off of AI algorithms now, and especially you know, if you're stuck in like a low-level adjuster's file, it's usually a fresh kid out of college or a fresh person just trained. They're just talking and spitting numbers back from a computer. They're not even reading your demand. They're not reading this stuff, which can sometimes play in your benefit, because Sarah and I have set people up with our Tiger River bad faith laws because they've messed up and missed claims, missed deadlines, inappropriately devalued a claim, which can sometimes work in the client's favor.
Yeah.
But we know when we're stuck like that. Now, we have to present all offers to our clients, right, ethically. So we're going to call and tell you, even if it's a shit offer, we're going to tell you. Right? Don't get mad at us. We're going to tell you.
I have to say, I don't shoot the messenger here, but I can't even say, you know, no way, eat rocks unless you
unless
present this to
they allow
first,
you to,
so.
yeah.
But what we'll do, to answer your question, Randy, is if we file the lawsuit, it will take it out of that low-level adjuster's hands and usually put it in a senior litigation adjuster who's actually going to look at our demand package, and then usually we can get into a realistic realm of getting something settled or worked out.
Sure.
Not always, but most of the time.
Yeah. Well, you were saying most of them get settled before they go to trial anyway. Yeah. So is it annoying to you that you may have to continue working it, and then last minute they're like, okay, we'll settle? Is that annoying, or are you like, yes, that's still okay?
As long as the client's happy and the client's getting full and fair justice, we're happy. And if we can settle a case in 90 days, or if it takes us 2 years, I mean, we love it. I mean, our last whole set of trials that we had, you know, we were in Columbia. We were driving to Columbia, and we went back to back for a whole month. We get huge verdicts for the clients, and you know, they're appealing those cases. And we're sitting here 2 years later, it's still up on appeal. Yeah, clients are happy, they're ecstatic, but right now they just have a judgment on a piece of paper, so we're still waiting on the Court of Appeals to kind of rule on that. But that's an extreme case, but that's taking us all that time, you know. And then there's sometimes we can work it out, you know, in 90 days or less. So
and the time it doesn't bother me.
No.
As much as I'm really considering what the client's gone through. So when I get that offer, that's exactly what I wanted, but it's 2 years later. I feel bad the client had to go through all this to get what was fair. But I tell my clients all the time, I'm going to be in court, whether it's your case or some other case. That's what I do. That's what I chose to do. So I'm going to be there. If you want to take this further, we're ready to go.
Yeah. And it's a journey, and we prep the clients at the beginning. And like Sarah said, when we're having these conversations at each stage of the progression of a file, we're going to let the client know, and say, hey, this is going to take 10 days, this is going to take 2 months, this is going to take a year if we have to file a lawsuit. I mean, we'll keep you educated.
Well, I'm sure it's a struggle. I mean, it's a struggle throughout the process, but then they're always happy and you know, happy at the end. But they're going to struggle whether they're using you or not, you know? So it's not really a you guys thing. It's not really like the process thing. I mean, thank God that there are attorneys around that can give them compensation, because otherwise they would just be struggling with nothing. So in that regard, it's a plus.
Cool deal.
Life gets ugly, justice is love.